I'd like to call to order Mount Lebanon Planning Board meeting. June 20th, 2020. Roll call. Rebecca Griffith.
Here.
Dave Marchak here. Clint Runsfeld.
Here.
Don Schott. Here. Andrew Jordan.
Here.
Municipal staff, Dan Dizeroff. Here. Ian McMeans. Here. Greg Borton.
He was not able to make it tonight.
Marilyn Oberst Corner.
Not sure if she's on. Nope. Okay.
Read a quick statement on public comments. Planning board public comments with each agenda item. Please note that a repetition of comments made by previous speakers is not necessary for them to be considered. If a group of residents shares an opinion, we suggest you select a spokesman. Public comments is not an appropriate time for prolonged debate or for personal comments about or questions directed to fellow residents, board members, municipal staff, or any developer. In consideration of everyone's time, we encourage residents making public comment to refrain from repeating comments made by previous speakers. For Zoom participants, if you wish to comment during public comment agenda items, use the raise hand function. During the public comment agenda item, the chair will recognize you. When recognized, be sure to unmute your line and announce your name and address for the record. If you have multiple or complicated comments, you're welcome to submit them to us in writing. We ask you to hold your remarks to 5 minutes. We will let you know when your time is up. We appreciate your efforts to be respectful and ask that the audience refrain from any behavior that is disrupting or might intimidate free speech. First item on the agenda is the meeting minutes. I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes from November 15th, 2022 meeting.
John Schrott, I move to approve the minutes of the November 15th, 2022 planning board meeting.
Rebecca Griffith, I second the motion.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All not favored? Those counted. Old business, should I read both items?
You can, sure. Yeah.
You know, 2 items for a specific project here, residents of Poplar. Request for a recommendation for final approval of a lot consolidation and subdivision plan. The residences at Poplar LLC owns the property located in an unopened section of Pennsylvania Boulevard. The developer is requesting approval to consolidate 4 parcels currently identified as lot and block 192-C-23, 192-C-24, 192-C-30, and 192-C-32 in the Avondale plan lots and divide them into 5 lots. There's also a request for recommendation for final approval of a land development plan. The residences at Poplar LLC owns 4 adjacent parcels on Pennsylvania Boulevard. The developer proposes to construct 5 two-family dwellings in the site for a total of 10 dwelling units. As part of the land development plan, Pennsylvania Boulevard will be improved to municipal standards up to the intersection with Poplar Drive. The property is zoned as R3 residential. 2-family dwellings are used by right in the R3 zoning district. We have a presentation from the applicant.
Good evening, everyone. Ed Moore with Scheffler and Company. Tonight, we don't have anything new to present or review. We're here to answer any questions you might have. We're in receipt of the Gateway Engineer Review Letter. It appears, I believe all of the comments have been addressed from that letter. So again, we're just here to answer questions that you might have.
Mr. Dizeroff, do you wish to?
Sure. I'll bring the board up to date relative to the review. This is the 6th review of the project from a technical standpoint, and I'm pleased to report that they have addressed the technical comments. We're satisfied that the stormwater management has been addressed. that the grading issues related to the site that were identified, some under drains and so forth, were addressed. We're really just down to some general comments on the plan. As you may recall, there was a request for several modifications on the plan. The first having to do with cul-de-sac. And we concur with the request for modification and the justification. Most recently, that cul-de-sac has been tested and found to be adequate for the use of public safety vehicles. They've also asked for a modification to substitute a straight curb as opposed to the standard 2-foot rolled curb. Again, we concur with the justification provided in the request. And just note that there are straight curbs in the municipality right now, although it's not the current standard. There's been a request to modify the location of the street trees to put them approximately 23 feet behind the curb. The typical is 20 feet. It's a minor, we'll call it de minimis change. I don't think that it warrants any problems, and we do concur with that justification. And then finally, there's been a couple of modification requests related to the sidewalk. The planting strip to be constructed 3 feet from the back of the curb to be separated by a planting strip in lieu of the required 6 feet. This would more closely match the sidewalk that's already in place on a portion of the street that's already been constructed. They also plan to leave the sidewalk in where it is along the existing portion of Pennsylvania Boulevard and transition to a new required sidewalk that meets the requirements in terms of width in the new section of the development. So again, we concur with that justification. There's a couple other third-party items that need to be addressed, and as typical, those items would be addressed and probably be a part of the contingency if the commission decides to approve the plan. Typically, these permits can last longer than the approval process, so that's a typical, and we have no problem with that. I would like to note that this development will have what we call public and private improvements in it. And as required by the municipality's planning code, the municipality will require an improvement bond to guarantee the site improvements. In Pennsylvania, the municipality can ask for 110% of the estimated cost to complete the grading, the stormwater, the planting, the paving, all of that work to occur. We will have a cost estimate. There will be a developer's agreement prepared, and the developer will have to spend financial security to guarantee those improvements are installed. So I just want to make it clear that if this development does reach the point that to start, there will be a guarantee that the site work will finish. That's just standard protocol in the municipality. And then the issue with PA Boulevard is under discussion with the municipal solicitor. We understand an agreement is being worked out with that. Again, that's a third-party deal that's I don't feel that's respective to the consideration that you have in front of you tonight. So I believe that the plan is technically complete. I would like to make one additional comment. Ian furnished me yesterday with some additional comments. A letter was received that I reviewed from Donald J. Mosert, and also an email from Dan Early. Both of those individuals had concerns relative to the infiltration rates in the stormwater management system that are listed in the stormwater management report. That's not untypical in Western Pennsylvania, but we've reviewed this matter, and as a part of our 6 technical reviews of this project, we've commented on these infiltration testing results throughout. We didn't necessarily point it out, but the solution to what they've encountered down there with the test results is that they will install an under drain to make sure that if infiltration doesn't occur to the extent that it has to drain the tank completely, there'll be an under drain with a valve in it, and this is a typical use that or typical application that we use in Western Pennsylvania because we do have clay and rocky soils. It's tough to get infiltration. Mount Lebanon's stormwater ordinance encourages infiltration, and you try to get it as much as you can, but it leaves you the option to drain the tank in this manner in within 24 to 72 hours. And we believe that this tank with the valve can drain in that condition, and it will meet the ordinance requirements. It will promote infiltration of the site as much as possible. The actual location of where the test hole that they did get infiltration on the site is very close to the discharge point for the tank. So gravity will bring a lot of the water that's trying to infiltrate to that point of the infiltration. So I think we will be able to get maximum infiltration on the site. But again, there'll be protection to drain if we don't get that infiltration. And I don't believe there'll be any negative effects relative to grading, supportive homes, supportive hillsides. There'll be no negative effects from this. And again, this is a typical way to accomplish that. So I just wanted to address Mr. Mosart's and Mr. Early's comments as a part of my discussion tonight. And I believe that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Dunn. We'll open the discussion to public comment. Mr. Donald Mozart.
I am Donald Mossart, residing at 349 Ashley. I'd like to add, my career was as a commercial industrial contractor. With that, I'm sure you're not surprised that I'm a literalist. Literalist. I tend to focus on actual words rather than intentions. You have my written comments on stormwater management. I'm sorry for my attempt at tardiness in getting them to you. In summary, I say that I have reviewed the current development plan. From that reading, I foresee the possibility of a terrible outcome. Now, what I have just heard is a reasonable response to that concern. Next, the cul-de-sac. As you surely know, we've been looking at and challenging this unchanging piece of the development for 15 years or more. Near the end of the last planning meeting, you decided to conduct another exercise, a big fire truck against a small cul-de-sac. I interjected, quote, "Why the hell do you want to go through this game again? It's a game. You know it doesn't make any difference." Afterwards, my brain caught up with my mouth. I had misspoken. It wasn't actually a game, because games have rules. It was just a performance. I also saw the proposed event as a perfect opportunity to settle our long-standing issues. I was very happy. I immediately started to work on my apology to the board and to submit my ideas to Ian. Sadly, before I finished, I learned that I had missed the opportunity through my fault. Now, nothing has changed. Another performance and the same lame justification for the modification. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Any questions from the board for the applicant? Blake or Andrew, any comments, questions?
I think we should note that the materials were provided in the back of the room for review. Sample is possible materials.
Yes. My understanding is that these are design builds, so once, you have a buyer, they'll be able to kind of pick out which side they want, but there's some samples in the back of the room of the different types of brick and siding, that the buyers will have the ability to choose from. I think we have a couple people online. If anybody online wants to make a comment, you can raise your hand. Okay, I guess not.
Okay, no further discussion, with respect to part A of this, business, can I get a motion to recommend final approval for residents at Poplar Lot LLC?
Rebecca Griffith, I'll make a motion to recommend final approval to the residences of Poplar Lot Consolidation and Subdivision Plan, conditioned upon the applicant addressing the items required to be completed to final approval noted in the engineer's review letter dated December 16th, 2022.
All in favor, say aye.
We need a second.
Oh, I'm sorry, I guess second.
John Schrod, I'll second.
Slides is my first. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any dissenting? With respect to item B, request for recommendation for final approval of the land development plan for the residences of Poplar LLC. Can I get a motion for approval?
John Schrod. I move to recommend final approval to the residents at Poplar Land Development Plan, conditioned upon the applicant addressing issues required to be completed prior to final approval, noted in the engineer's review letter dated December 16th, 2022, and the supplemental review letter dated December 20th, 2022, including but not limited to approvals from other agencies, proof of ability to dedicate the roadway, the commission granting any requested waivers and modifications, the solicitor approving the HOA documents, and any other comments from the panel.
Rebecca Griffith, I'll second the motion.
All approved?
Aye.
Aye.
Nothing? According to agenda, I see no new business listed. Next item, do we have any updates for the comprehensive plan?
Yes, thank you. So the current Ascend Lebo survey is more or less wrapped up at this point. Our consultants are doing some analysis on it, and we'll be moving into kind of the next phase of the project in early 2023. The project itself has three major phases, which is explore, test, and build. So we're moving out of the explore phase and into the testing phase. And as we get into the testing phase, we'll be doing some pop-up events throughout the community to test some ideas here and there, as well as convening some focus groups around some specific topic areas that have arisen out of the plan. So stay tuned in early 2023. There will be numerous other avenues for public engagement as we work through the 18-month planning process, with the goal of having a new comprehensive plan presented to the planning board for recommendation and adoption by the end of 2023.
Thank you. Next item is for our, do we have any other general citizen comments?
If anybody on Zoom has a comment, you'd like to raise your hand. It's not appear so.
Okay. Our next regularly scheduled meeting for the Mount Lebanon Planning Board is Tuesday, January 17th, 2023 at 7 p.m. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Rebecca Griffith, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
John Schrod, I'll second.
Thank you.
Have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all that.
A phone call from Mark Hamilton. Just Mark.